شوف هسه المسألة وين هسه تخلص كلها. نتحاكى بيناتنا خاطر هم ياخذون صوت ولا
حاولنا عليه الكاظم، حاولنا عليه الكاظم، حاولنا عليه الكاظم، حاولنا عليه الكاظم، الكاظم، حاولنا عليه الكاظم، حاولنا عليه الكاظم، حاولنا عليه
احكي على الموجب هذا النوبة تمام.
جبت لنا شيء وياك حدا بشي مثل من الجو.
ايدم حيل.
مثل من الجو.
على الموجب هذا.
حيل.
احنا يوم شاف مكتوبة لنا. ايه يا
بي.
احكوا
اليوم
ايه نمشي.
زين.
وين كانت وين صارت وين
الله يحكي.
انا جاوب الذات. لا وحدك ايش وحدك ثم من بعده.
اليوم عشان تشريب.
ايه ثم من بعده. ثم من بعده.
مكتوبة هاي.
ايه مكتوبة ايه بس عشان
احكي يا عم احكي.
الحاج جمع عبر الحاج مهدي. جمع عبر الحاج مهدي.
4 أفراد.
احنا عبرنا 65 فرد اليوم.
65 فردة؟
ايه.
والله.
بس
شنو هي؟
هي حنطة وسلسل وإدرة وماش باقلة.
راح ناخذ بهيجي وضعية استقلال؟
والله ما ادري راح اروح اليوم من ان شاء الله. ما شاء الله.
يا الله طول لي عمرك.
الله
احنا طيب احنا بيناتنا نفسي ما نعرف هذاك يحكي الله ياخذ روحهم خلصنا منهم الاغوات اليابه
شو حاج فريد بده يوصلكم؟
شو شغله ويا
جاب هنا احنا شدانا هاي يغسل زين حاج فريد
شلون الدجاج حلو؟
شلون دجاج؟ متى يصير
شلون
يا جلال متى عيني شوف الجسر راح يقطعون المركب. ايه راح يقطعوا لي الجسر.
وينكم مركب؟
لا شرط الجسر راح يجي لكم ريك. ايه جاي راح يقطع.
صار طين ما يقدر يمشي طين.
The country of the palm-fringed tigress was one of the force's happy hunting grounds. On the banks of the limpid river is the original Tree of Knowledge. Across the famous bridge of boats that commemorates the city's capture in 1918 by General Maud are the mosques of Baghdad, capital of the ancient Saracen Empire. Evidence of British control is seen in the policeman on point duty. The city and its suburbs are peopled with Arabs and Kurds, and the men are nothing if not picturesque. He must be mother's boy. Today there's a festival, and travelling entertainers are doing their act. They seem to be applauding themselves too. early women water carriers are curious, but their more gentle sisters are shy. The children on festival days have a grand time. The little Arabs call this thriller the Punky Punky. Just beyond the walls of the older city live the Kurds among their mosques and palm trees. The camel station at Gaza marks the edge of the desert, but even here a thriving community takes its ease, and a walk along the high street. And as for shops, well, there's the desert greengrocer, and if we mistake not, a customer. The sky darkens and the sand swirls in a threatening storm as we board the BBC's magic carpet for Canada via my confrere Jerry Wilmot.
At the center of our world lies the Middle East, and at its very heart, the ancient land which is Iraq. Two great rivers span its length, the Tigris and Euphrates. In the plain, made rich and fertile by their waters, the earliest civilizations known to man were born. Out of this ancient heritage, the citizens of one of the world's youngest nations are building a new life and a modern state. Ageless Iraq is no longer a remote, isolated country. Today, she is a main junction linking the east and west. Her capital is Baghdad, a name that conjures up all the romance of Harun al-Rashid and the Arabian Nights of 1,000 years ago, when this was the fabulous capital of the Islamic world. The tempo of an age-old way of life contrasts with the swifter rhythm of the new. The 20th century has come to Baghdad, with steel and concrete, with shining cars and wide streets. But the people of Iraq hold on to the best of their old traditions. In the bazaars, you can see and hear them carrying on the art and exquisite craftsmanship that has been their pride for hundreds of years. "2,000 years before Christ, the world's first code of justice was laid down in the halls of Babylon. Today, in Baghdad, a modern police force upholds the laws of a sovereign state. Today, the streets of the city are alive with the bustle of a young people who are taking back from the West the means to a brighter future. And in their enjoyment of sport, the same is true. From 3 Arab stallions brought to England over 200 years ago, every thoroughbred has been sired. Today, their descendants run on every racecourse in the West. And now, in the 20th century, the sport of kings has come into its own in Baghdad, and how the people love it.
orillas del río Tigris, que con el Éufrates forma la Mesopotamia, se encuentra Bagdad. La legendaria ciudad de las 1001 noches, hoy capital del Irak, fue fundada por Al-Mansur en el año 762. El país donde se inventó la rueda, donde se utilizaron las primeras formas de escritura, donde se practicaron las primeras observaciones astronómicas, es actualmente una nación preocupada por su desarrollo en la gran encrucijada del Oriente Medio. ...1932 fue una fecha decisiva para el Irak. La independencia suponía una enorme riqueza potencial, pero también gran número de problemas. Bagdad es hoy una ciudad de cerca de 3 millones de habitantes en continua expansión, que ha sabido conservar sus tradicionales monumentos junto a las más avanzadas tendencias arquitectónicas. Grandes y bien trazadas avenidas, espléndidos edificios, bellos jardines, nos permiten olvidar por unos momentos que nos hallamos muy cerca del desierto. Sin embargo, su radiante sol y su clima de extremadas temperaturas obliga a buscar el alivio del agua. Esta es una de las numerosas piscinas de la ciudad, frecuentada por iraquíes y extranjeros.
غني بغداد لأمتنا،
غني بغداد،
غني في ظل محبتنا،
غني بغداد،
غني بغداد لأمتنا،
غني بغداد،
غني في ظل محبتنا،
غني بغداد.
يا زندان يبني لحظتنا في دار يرفع رايتنا.
But the raids bring only temporary terror to Baghdad. Otherwise, it seems a city peculiarly content to be at war, at least while its own side is winning. Only the foreigners have fled, thousands of them drawn to Iraq for the money, now deciding that a shooting war is no part of the deal. And then there's the chance to join in the war games, to cake your bus with mud so that a telltale glint from burnished metal doesn't betray your position to Iranian warplanes, even if the nearest you get to the front is a city bus stop. Baghdad seems positively to revel in the war. It's almost as if war is a natural state in the bazaars of Baghdad. Certainly the inconvenience of this conflict has so far proved minimal. There's no petrol shortage and the price is fixed at an envy-making 14 pence a gallon. So vast are their reserves that Iraqis say that the last 2 barrels of oil in the world will be theirs. A world away from the rigid orthodoxy of the Ayatollahs in Iran, a generation of modern Baghdad women shun the veil. Strolling unconcernedly in city streets in Western clothes, there's a way of life to be defended as well as a country and a regime against the incursions of Iran's puritanical revolution. And so far, the defence of those modern ideals has proceeded well. The face of the man who took the Iraqi people to war gazes out from posters all over Baghdad. Saddam Hussein al-Takriti, president in name for the past 14 months, but Iraq's strongman for the past decade. Variously attired in bespoke lounge suit, or as popular hero in Arab headdress, or in the uniform of a field marshal, although he was never a soldier, sometimes depicted as the sweaty labourer with shovel to hand, but his favourite image, the cuddly father figure. The war with Iran has given Iraq a rare opportunity to brush up a pretty tarnished image. A week ago, the government commandeered all 550 beds in this hotel, the largest and the most modern in Baghdad, and then proceeded to fill them with the international press. As the Iraqis see it, the international press can help confer a new status as well as a new image on their country. But that does not mean the foreign press is free in its operations in Iraq. Television teams are tightly monitored in all they film and go to the front only on officially escorted bus tours. The press has now been ordered out of the Shatt al-Arab area altogether, a firm enough indication that the war in the south is not going too well. If it drags on, there could be more pressure on outsiders to intervene. I asked the Iraqi foreign minister what he had to say to the big powers.
There is one thing that we would like to say to the big powers. That is not to interfere in the area in any way, to keep away. Not to interfere directly or indirectly. This has been always what we wanted from the big powers.
Are you confident that Iraq and the smaller Arab countries in the Gulf will be able, though, to maintain security for what are, after all, vital interests, vital economic interests for the West?
Yes, definitely. After all, who is threatening our independence? If it is a country in the region, we should be able to deal with that. But if it is a big power coming and interfering in the area, then the other big power would use that as a pretext for its own interference, and we get in the vicious circle.
There were those, of course, who saw the vicious circle beginning with the Soviet intervention in Afghanistan, that this was a move that, in many ways, it was suggested, directly threatened the Gulf. Now, what's your view of that?
The interference, the military interference of the Soviet Union in Afghanistan was a move which we had a position of. We said our position, we stated our position.
You were opposed to it?
Yes. But we also said that it should not be used as a pretext for an American interference in the area. It should not be used as a cover for a military coming back by the United States in the area. Apparently, the United States is not listening. They are spending efforts to come back in sort of naval and military facilities in Oman and Somalia. We believe that would, instead of coping with the situation, that would only aggravate the situation.
Thank you.